Ezra Miller will continue being the Flash. Gal Gadot might not be Wonder Woman much longer. And the hierarchy of power just continues to be all over the place. We're talking DC today on the Chatter After Daily. Greetings, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the Chatter After Daily, the show where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the day's movie news and pop culture all together. I'm your host, Michael Thomas. Joining me is Juwan from Geek Vibes Nation. My bro, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. This is Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. And boy, we have a lot of DC news to talk about. We've got 4 stories. 3 of them are DC. 3 of them are coming from the exact same article from Variety. Juwan, it feels like every other day we have DC nonsense to talk about. So I guess we might as well just dive on in.
Yep.
Yeah, this is always funny. Topic number 1 is, again, the hierarchy of power continues to change, coming from Variety. Apparently, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the Black Adam is just a gift that keeps on giving, except for box office returns for Warner Brothers. But that's a conversation for another day. This story is coming from Variety, and they are basically saying that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of attempted a coup of Warner Brothers and DC Studios. I'm just going to read this quote right quick. It says, as 2023 kicks off, DC bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran continue to sift through the rubble and will soon reveal their 3-year interconnected vision for the cinematic universe, which won't include Henry Cavill's Superman or Wonder Woman at all. We'll address that in a bit because that's kind of crazy to think about. But they continue to go on and say, but things could have gone in an entirely alternate direction, entirely different direction. Behind the scenes, a group of people made a play to control DC. Not long after Warner Brothers Discovery merged in April, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson directly pitched CEO David Zaslav on a multi-year plan for Black Adam and a Cavill-led Superman, in which the 2 properties would interweave, setting up a Superman versus Black Adam showdown. Sources say Black Adam producers Hiram Garcia, who is Johnson's former brother-in-law, and Beau Flynn were also part of the brain trust looking to take DC down a new path. Other sources confirmed the meeting, but downplayed any discussion of Black Adam's future. Juwan, this is kind of crazy to think about, because from the outside looking in, this was always kind of, to us, looked like it would be a singular movie, like a sequel, Black Adam sequel, where Black Adam would fight Superman.
Right.
Now we're learning that it's like its own universe, essentially, inside of the DC cinematic universe. So, like, how many films do you think The Rock was going to try and drag out of this before it led to that confrontation? Is that something you would have been interested in at all, or?
No. My interest in Black Adam is to see him, well, not only, but it's to first see him interact with the character he's supposed to interact with, which is Shazam.
Which seems like it's never going to happen.
Right. But once I got that, you do whatever you want. I don't really care. But completely skipping over Shazam as if he does not exist to go right to Superman. I guess. None of that shocks me, really. Because at that time, when Warner Brothers Discovery kind of became its thing, with David taking over, there was a vacuum. There was a vacuum of power. David probably had no idea what he wanted to do outside of, I don't want to not use Superman,
Right.
So for me, I don't blame The Rock for saying, well, shit, if there's nobody else, let me pop my head in here and see if I can't help steer this in the right direction. But that's why I don't think some of these people not returning is a slap in the face to them, because if you're David, you were kind of put in a tough situation to where you're like, I need one vision for this universe, and I got probably the best guy out there to do it. I can't bring him in and then tell him he has to keep this person or that person, because then you might mess around and lose him. So for me, I get it from a business standpoint, but this doesn't shock me at all that The Rock tried to utilize his used to be box office power.
I mean, this is still his highest grossing film, so I feel like the power is still there. It's just
individually
way too much.
Individually, and you could argue it's probably his best out of his individual projects he's released. But yeah, no, none of this shocks me at all. None of this shocks me at all.
Yeah. One key note here that Variety had in their article, they said that they spoke with someone close to the situation, and that the person, who will not be named, says, quote, Dwayne went around everyone, which didn't sit well. Eventually, new Warner Brothers film heads, Michael DeLuca and Pam Adby, approved a Henry Cavill cameo in Black Adam, despite the fact that former chief Toby Emmerich had made the call to have someone else don the cape all the way back in 2018. That's the bit of news to me that it's kind of shocking, is that in 2018, we're going back 5 years now. The Avengers just brought everybody back. 2018, they're like, yeah, we need somebody else to. Why didn't they just recast the role of Superman? Like, I feel like if you want to go in a new direction and you were like hard on that, why did we just dilly-dally for 5 years instead of recasting the role outright?
Well, because remember, they were stuck, right? Ben had left, right? The whole outcry of Zack, getting that movie made, that Snyder cut made, they were kind of in a flux. Because remember, it went from, all right, Ben's going to direct it and star in it. All right, Ben's just going to star in it. All right, we don't have a Batman. All right, Robert Pattinson's our Batman. All right, Robert Pattinson's our Batman in a whole nother universe, separated from a world that now does not have Batman. So I could see in all that chaos, the last thing you're thinking is, all right, I got to replace Superman, when you're trying to figure out, am I just going to just make movies, or am I going to try to make a cohesive universe at some point? And that's why I think they went wrong, is because you continued a universe that did not have its two pillars.
Right.
And that's where I think they went wrong, is that you're skipping steps.
That's fair. So we wanted to address everything with The Rock and Superman, and yeah, I think that was very well said on why things kind of turned out the way they did, right? Skipping steps has ultimately been the downfall of DC for the last 15 years.
Right.
But we kind of skipped a step too. When we were reading this article from Variety, I want to backtrack a bit to the part where it says James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to reveal their 3-year interconnected vision for the cinematic universe, which won't include Superman, Henry Cavill Superman, we know. But the information, it says Wonder Woman at all. So, like, Wonder Woman is off the table in this 3-year stretch that they're apparently plotting. Does that make sense? Like, we want to make sure we have a little breathing room before we just reboot Wonder Woman, assuming Gal Gadot doesn't return? Or would you rather them make sure they do the Trinity, like be the first 3 out the gate?
Well, if their mindset is they want to breathe before recasting Wonder Woman, I would call BS, because you just gave me Henry Cavill as Superman, which feels like yesterday. And you're already telling me, well, he's gone and I'm recast. That's the first thing I'm doing, is recasting him. Right. So if I could just see him and you recast him already, Wonder Woman does not have a solo project coming out anytime soon. She possibly has an appearance in Shazam. So why can't you just recast her now? So I'm like, to me, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, if that's the logic that they're going with.
So yeah, I agree. It's kind of that's why this entire thing is a weird hodgepodge of information, because yeah, you recast Henry Cavill. We already know Patty Jenkins walked away for some reason. Whatever that reason is, the director of the first 2 movies has walked away, and Gal Gadot has remained relatively silent ever since then. So I feel like you might as well just come out and say it. And again, James Gunn did say, beginning of the year, they were going to start giving us a little bit more info. And this article says they're working on their 3-year plan and that they're sifting through the rubble. I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating to see how they tackle it all, especially because of story number 2. What the heck is going on with the Flash? You're telling me that Ezra Miller can potentially stay on, and this is again coming from that same Variety article. They said, "quote James Gunn and Peter Safran's reboot is broad but not a blanket reset. At this point, nothing is ruled out. Given that Miller has stayed out of trouble since beginning mental health treatment in the summer, some executives are willing to continue with the actor as the world-saving speedster after The Flash comes out June 16th. Aquaman, Shazam, Blue Beetle, and Gunn's Peacemaker series for HBO Max all could have a place at the table. Gunn and Safran, who were recommended by DeLuca, have the full backing of WBD top ranks." This is so bizarre. We always kind of assume that, it might be somewhat soft reboot. You don't want to get rid of the Suicide Squad. You don't want to get rid of Margot Robbie. You may not want to get rid of Peacemaker, but I don't know. Recasting the Trinity, which is effectively what this article is saying that they're going to do, because we already know that they're going to need a new Batman. They already announced a new Superman, and you just told us Wonder Woman's not going to be featured at all. But keeping Ezra Miller, and, mental health is a very serious issue, but also there are consequences for your actions. So I feel like it's a no-brainer that we should recast this role going forward, especially, like you said earlier, Juwan, your pillars have all been recast and rebooted, as far as we know.
Right.
What are you thinking?
I'm going to be honest with you. To me, what I consider a hard reboot is your Justice League. Because to me, keeping Harley Quinn is like if you told me we're keeping Terrence Howard, right, as War Machine. I would tell you I don't care the same way I wouldn't necessarily care if you rebooted him. It worked. So for me, it's the idea of I don't consider them essential characters, right? So that to me is like, you can do whatever you want with that. Fine. Your focus should be the Justice League. So that should be what you're rebooting. To me, that's the thing you cannot pick and choose. Because for better or worse, all of the Justice League were fan favorites, right? Obviously, Ezra has dwindled because of the situations. But they were liked. So it's like, if you choose to keep one but get rid of all the others, you put that one in a very weird position. You might as well just recast them all. But as far as Ezra staying, I that's just the world we live in. Is as far as I'll go with that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm very big on second chances, and I don't know what his road to recovery has been. Like, I don't know if they're just telling us he's okay. Meanwhile, he's just doing wild shit, but in secret. I don't know, but everybody deserves a second chance. And I agree with people that are saying he should at least atone for his sins and shouldn't be rewarded with keeping this role. But we have to understand, I have to imagine if they keep him, there has to be more to the story. Because if you're willing to keep him, that was a problem child, but throw Henry Cavill to the wolves, there just has to be something there.
That's what's so bizarre to me, right? Like, why didn't, if you're going to do that, why not just keep Henry Cavill? I don't know if you can justify getting rid of Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and maybe Jason Momoa, who, again, out of everybody, has had the most success in the DC universe, $1 billion for that first Aquaman film. And this is where we're going to draw the line. Now, granted, I want to make sure we're clear, giving them the benefit of the doubt. The article says that the top brass at Warner Brothers is open to keeping Ezra Miller as the Flash. Right. That has nothing to do with Peter Safran. That's nothing to do with James Gunn. This is just basic. I feel like this might just be them saying, whatever you want to do, we support you. If you want to keep some and get rid of some, we back you on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case, and Gunn and Safran are just gonna be like, yeah, but we can't reboot the Trinity, but keep the 4 other Justice Leaguers, right? That'd be kind of insane. I want to address the last part of this quote though. Aquaman, Shazam, Blue Beetle, and Peacemaker could all have a place at the table. This is more and more starting to sound like a soft reboot. If we're keeping all of the stuff coming out this, because if you're saying the Flash can stay, you're basically saying everything releasing in 2023 will still be canon in some form or fashion. Do you think that's damage control? Like Warner Brothers is saying, say that so we can still make money on these movies this year?
No, because I don't really know what effect it truly has outside of just, our circles, right? Yeah. Because mainstream media, not mainstream, the average person is not keeping up with this shit. They're not keeping up with James Gunn is in and he might reboot everything. I don't really think they're as invested as we are. So I don't think it'll really make a difference to them, right? And we've learned they tend to make up majority of the box office than we geeks do, right? So it's like, you kind of feel as though I kind of feel as though there's no need to wait, right? There's just no need to wait. This movie is going to make however much it's going to make regardless, right? So it's like, if you recast it, I don't think the general public is going to care, because it's not like you'll recast the Flash and put the new actor halfway through the movie, So for them, they're just like, okay, that's the guy who will be the Flash later on. So for me, I don't think there's an issue, because look, us as comic book fans, just the thought that these characters are being rebooted makes us care less about these movies coming out. Doesn't mean we won't see them. It just means we will have no attachment to it. But I think when you start picking and choosing what stays and what goes, it snowballs. But that's why I was telling you and Joel, James Gunn coming out and responding to all this is only going to spiral himself, because reports like this will continue to drop no matter how many times he comes and says, not true. That's not true. It'll be a new report, and then a new report, and then a new report, and then a new report. The only way he can keep these vultures quiet is to just reveal exactly what his plan is. And that way no one can twist his words, because he'll legit just say, I'm doing Superman, Batman, and Green Lantern. Those are my first 3 movies. Yeah. But the more you try to cut these snakes' heads off, they just obviously keep growing back. Like, I haven't heard him. Right. I haven't heard him at all, say anything about this article. So that's why I'm saying now you're picking and choosing what you want to respond to. And that's why I said it's better to respond to nothing till you're ready to say something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that way it blots out all this craziness that will ensue.
I'm hopeful that we get this sorted out soon. You're right. Like most people, the internet is not the zeitgeist people want it to be, right? Right. For the last 12 years, people would say Avatar, nobody cares about it. The sequel's not going to make any money, blah, blah, blah. But all the normies just like, oh, look, Avatar's back. Boom. Exactly. Almost $2 billion, So it's like Twitter, we know this is an echo chamber 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. And that's also why it's frustrating, because Warner Brothers can probably get away with keeping Ezra Miller with little to no problem, because most people don't know what Ezra Miller has going on.
Right. And they honestly don't care. Right. Like, I know for us, because we're so much in the know of it, it does affect some, but for the general audience, they don't really give a shit. They really don't. They really don't care. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. To me, does it shock me? No. But when you're picking and choosing what can stay and what can go, and you want to keep the one thing that the fandom, not the audience, the fandom has no love for, but you throw into the wood chipper the one piece of the DCEU that the entire fandom supported. I don't think I've ever met anyone that disliked Henry Cavill as Superman.
Right.
I can guarantee you can find at least 1,000 people that dislike Ezra Miller right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's easy. That's easy.
So
Like,
to
I'm gonna
keep
be
that
honest. Like,
is weird.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Just like Ezra Miller, if we ignore all the controversies, just as the Flash,
Mhm.
I don't think Ezra Miller was a good fit for Barry Allen. If you were trying to pitch me kind of more Wally West, they might have been able to pull that version of the Flash off.
Well,
Go ahead.
there's a distinction there that I want to make sure we're bringing up. I believe he was horribly written as Barry Allen. I do not believe that Ezra cannot do Barry Allen. I believe that whoever kept writing his Barry Allen did not have his best interest at heart for trying to covet Barry Allen. I think they were trying to do like a hosh-posh mix of both Barry and Wally. But if you get, I really do, and maybe I don't have anything to really base this off of, but I really do trust Andy Muschietti, right? And we know that movie was rewritten, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I just trust that team that we're gonna get a better showing of his version of Barry. And I just think he can do it, but I don't fault anyone who says they don't want him part of it anymore. Like I'm not here to argue that at all.
Yeah.
But I do think he has the acting ability to do Barry. But if we're basing it off of what we've seen so far, I think that leans more to the horrible writing of Barry than it does, because it's not like he just showed up on set and was just like, all right, guys, silly Barry, right? Like
Right.
someone gave him that direction, and I think those people need to be faulted more than Ezra for just performing.
That's the story of just about every character and every actor in the DC extended universe for the last 10 years, where it's like Henry Cavill would be a great Superman in a better movie. Ben Affleck would be the best Batman in a better movie. And it's just, and I guess that boils back down to, if we recast them, why not recast Ezra Miller? Which
I'm
is,
with you.
You know, I think that's where we're landing on, but we'll see where Saffron and Gunn take this. Hopefully we get answers soon. Hopefully we get answers by the time the stream is over. That'd be nice to like make this outdated. I'm totally fine with you making this outdated.
I just hope that we get answers before they air this trailer at the Super
Bowl. Oh, yeah, that you might be a little too hopeful, my friend.
I'm just saying that trailer might have a lot of Michael Keaton's Batman in it.
Oh yeah,
that won't be our Batman going forward. So it'd be nice to kind of clear that up before you have the general audience get invested in that. And then it's just like, nope, here's new Batman. And you're just like, but I just saw that guy there.
I saw that guy. I saw Affleck. And
right.
You have another guy besides Pattinson?
Really? Yeah. So it's like, it might be good to kind of clean that up so guys like us can go around and explain it to people that are confused about it beforehand. Right. So they're good to go going forward.
For sure. One thing that we have been noticing, though, is that James Gunn he's trying to restore faith in the DC brand. And I think that's very important. That's why he's responding to so many rumors and tweets. And he is having feedback with the audience and trying to regain that trust. And a step in the right direction is hiring these two, getting them back. Variety is at the bottom, the very last paragraph of that Variety article. They just casually threw out there that, oh yeah, we spoke to the directors of Batgirl and they're totally willing to do another DC movie. And it's like, yo, that is impressive, because I'm going to be real with you. I would have quit and not come back. But also, making superhero movies is probably the best game right now in Hollywood. So probably want to make sure you stay in good with the chiefs of Warner Brothers. This is coming from Variety, story number 3. Batgirl directors want another shot. Told Variety that they're open to working with Warner Brothers down the road, saying, quote, "We're fans of DC. And if we get a chance in the future to do something in that universe, we're never going to say no. I mean, of course, our only condition is that the movie needs to come out." Gotta love the sense of humor. I feel like that's a fair place to draw the line of, can you make the movie come out, please? I can't imagine doing like 2 to 3 years worth of work, Juwan, just for it to never be seen. Nobody can even say they liked the movie or not. That has to be awful. what do you think of, because we know that Gunn has probably met with them since taking over to like clear the air and say you're always welcome back, because he's
Mhm.
done that with Cavill, with Gadot, Momoa. We know he's been meeting with the actors. Do you think we're going to see these two in the future working at DC Studios on something else?
I'm gonna say something that might shock you. You might be able to get these guys to direct a Batman movie. Like,
Can you
all
imagine
jokes
they do
aside,
Bat Family?
they legit could do a first Batman movie. Where if you want, you could start. I wouldn't personally do it, but if you wanted to, you could start with Barbara Gordon being his first sidekick, right? So that way you're still kind of doing your Batgirl movie, but it's flipped. It's Batman featuring Batgirl rather than Batgirl featuring Batman.
Yeah.
So I could 100% could see that, but they did the right thing. It's just, Mike, we come from the world of sports, me and you. We see this all the time. When a head coach gets fired, he doesn't go, man, F this organization. They were the worst thing ever. I'll never come back and coach here. No, because it sets a bad example for the other organizations looking to hire you. You want to keep it copacetic. You might be thinking in your head, if I could fist fight David Zaslav, I would do it right now. You know, but, you know,
Right.
you don't need to say it publicly because, look, at the end of the day, it's business. He conducted business. It was sucky business, maybe bad taste business, but it was business nonetheless. If you're going to work in this industry, it's like being a celebrity that hates paparazzi. It kind of just comes with the territory, right? So, albeit this is unheard of a movie just kind of just being thrown in the garbage that far into its completion, you just have to handle it professionally, understand it's a business, and just hope that you get an opportunity, whether it be Marvel down the line or Netflix or whoever. They'll look at this and go, all right, well, it's good to know that you can handle the business aspects of this properly.
Yeah, I want to point out, because you mentioned Marvel. One of the first things we heard during that entire Batgirl controversy is that, oh yeah, Kevin Feige reached out to them, and it's like,
100%.
yeah, I wonder if he's going to get them to work on a new Marvel project. I hope I just wish them the best, because, you know, on GVN the other day we were talking about Batgirl and we saw more set photos that Leslie Grace tweeted or posted on her Instagram, and it's just like, this movie did look cool. It's a shame that we don't even get a sizzle reel or anything from it. So wishing them the very best. So outside of Batman, though, outside of like the Bat Family universe, is there anything you want to see them tackle, like a TV show or a movie?
I'm going to be honest. I only said Batman because they were working on Batgirl. I'm familiar with background to know what I think they would fit best with. But I know one thing for a fact is that they were extremely passionate about not only Batgirl, but the world of Batgirl and Batman and Gotham and that. They had a true appreciation I haven't seen since Matt Reeves. That year he went on Fandom and poured his heart out about Batman and then gave us that glorious trailer, right? They were the same year. They were talking Batgirl the same year, actually. They gave us the like a first look at what Batgirl would look like that year. So for me, it was their passion about the world of Gotham is why I said, if I'm James Gunn, I would entertain the idea of these guys doing a Batman movie. Why not? And like you said, a lot of what we saw from Batgirl looked good, looked fun. You know, there's no reason for us to believe that they couldn't handle it. So that's the only reason why I defaulted to that, is because I just got to see more of their work to see what characters I think they would fit best with.
Totally. Yeah. I think the Bat Family, I'm going to be real, the Bat Family is probably also the easiest for directors to get invested in, right? Because it's mainly street level heroes. You don't have to be crazy with special effects either. You know, you can just say, we're going to make a movie, not a giant Guardians of the Galaxy Green Lantern-esque spectacle. So I think that's a good place for a lot of directors to start. We have some breaking news, Juwan, while we're live here. Deadline just posted a news story. Michael Giacchino is going to make his directorial debut, his big screen directorial debut.
Oh, okay.
With a remake on Them coming from Warner Brothers. This is a reboot of a 1954 sci-fi man-eating monster movie. I think horror is a good place for Giacchino. You know, after seeing his work on Werewolf by Night,
Hmm.
we've got some quotes in here. Giacchino says, "There's always a movie in your mind that never leaves your head. For me,
Yeah.
that's them. It wasn't until much later in life until I learned what it was about, the nuclear age. What I love about them is exactly what it's called, them." He adds, quote, "It's about the other, the unknown, which one refuses or can't understand." I'm excited for him, you know? I loved his work on Werewolf by Night. Are you excited to see his next project?
100%. As you were telling it to me, I was just replaying Werewolf by Night in my head, and how I thought that was peak cinema. Uh,
You're
so
right.
I'm like, I mean, we were saying it, I think, when we did our review of it, like, whatever he wants to do at this point, sure. We thought composing was as good as it gets for this guy.
Right.
So if you can direct, by all means, you do you. You know, I'm not that familiar with this project.
Right.
But to be fair, I wasn't all that familiar with Werewolf by Night. So, you
Yeah.
know,
It
I think
very
I'll be
quickly.
okay.
It's very quick. He's quickly become one of those director where you're just like, okay, if that's what you're doing, I'll see it. You've gained my trust as a composer. Werewolf by
Mm-hmm.
Night was amazing. So like now I'm just gonna be there. I'm gonna check it out. Um
Yep.
I do have one gripe, and it's like if he's going to step out into directing, he's
Mm-hmm.
probably gonna start stepping back from doing so many scores. And that I am going to end up hating. But
I
you know, what
mean,
happy.
you never know, because a lot of the composing can be done uh, like after you're done filming, like towards the end of post production.
Yeah.
You can get in the lab and do that, or while you're doing that, you can, who knows? Because he managed to do it with Werewolf by Night, albeit it's just a special. I won't argue that. But I think he could still do it. I think what you might get is him only composing for the shit he's directing. I think you might start getting that.
Yeah,
But I don't. I
probably.
don't think. I don't think he'll ever lose his first love. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I hope so. Speaking of lost loves, last topic of the day. It's The Last of Us. You guys have no idea what loss is. The 10th anniversary for Tlu is coming up this summer. And we got some information from Neil Druckmann, head of Naughty Dog Studios, also the director and writer of The Last of Us HBO series and The Last of Us Part 2. He is just the guy, right? For
Right.
The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
We had some interesting things coming from the Hollywood Reporter this time, not Variety. Yeah, so it's turning 10, and the Last of Us Twitter account wanted to celebrate the big year coming from Naughty Dog and Tlu. Neil Druckmann
Right.
went on to talk about the future of the franchise, and while he's not confirming The Last of Us Part 3, he says,
Mm-hmm.
quote, "I think there is more story to tell."
Oh, so there you go.
Are I don't know what that means if that's not part 3, right? Like
Yeah, he just told you there's part 3. Yeah.
we know that they're making a multiplayer game, and they did confirm we're going to get more information on that this year. As
Mm-hmm.
someone who hasn't played The Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2, are you interested in this new Last of Us like multiplayer shooter thing that they're making?
I am, because the first thing I thought is that because I'll be getting my PS5 within the next week, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I thought is that if me and Trayvon hold out from playing it, we could just do the multiplayer together. And that is our introduction into playing The Last of Us. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't mind that at all. I can get how some people who have played the single player are like, that doesn't really interest me. But for me, like you said, as someone who hasn't played it, yeah, I kind of like the idea. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we don't know anything about this game. We don't know who the main characters are. We just know it's set in the world of The Last of Us. So
Right.
it'll be fascinating if we can all jump in and like squat up against an army of clickers and bloaters.
Right.
Not sure how they're gonna tackle it. I'm excited though because they announced this game like 3 years ago and then said nothing for all that time. And it's like, oh, that still exists. But as they went on to talk about the 10-year anniversary of Tilo, Neil Druckmann went on to talk about the HBO series. And he went on to say, the series will not overstay its welcome, saying, quote, beyond adapting the games, we won't run into the same issue as Game of Thrones, since The Last of Us Part 2 doesn't end on a cliffhanger. You enjoyed this episode. You enjoyed that specific game, and it's going to end right then and there, right? So, again, he never confirmed Part 3, which I think is very intentional. He did say Part 2 doesn't end on a cliffhanger. Does that make you feel, again, you haven't played the original games, even though I'm sure you are aware of the story.
I am. Mm-hmm.
Does that make you confident that, hey, they're going to stick to the source material fairly closely? Or are you like, I kind of wish you took some more liberties with the property?
I think that's his way of kind of hedging his bet to where he's kind of going, I know that the show has enough to do at least 2 or 3 seasons, right? 3 seasons if you want to kind of stretch out the second season a little bit, but 2 seasons definitively, right? So that might be his way of going, well, shit, if season 1 doesn't do good and they don't let us do season 2, maybe I will go back and just focus on only doing games. Right. But to me, I kind of feel like guys of his caliber always have something in the chamber for what they want to do going forward. And it's just a matter of kind of getting all the things together. I think these re-releases he's looking at, I think how many people tune in within the next week and a half when the show airs.
11 days.
I think he's right. I think he's paying attention to that. So I think there's a lot that he's paying attention to, that he wants to just see that there's still a demand for the last. Because look, we've learned this, right? Fans will say, bring this back. We want to see this. We've been waiting for this. Then they release it, and then they're just like, well, I'm not paying for that. And it's just like, but you asked me to do this, and I did it, right? So I think this might be
all over again.
Exactly, right? That was really foul that the people did that to Sony. But this might be, like I said, hedging his bet of, hey, look, we did the re-release. That might be doing really great. Show is phenomenal. People want more Last of Us. Let's get in the booth and let's go cook it. You know, I think that might be more so what it might be.
For sure. So I'm glad we took time to talk about The Last of Us because I'm excited for it. I know GVN, you guys are going to be covering that weekly, right?
Yes, we will be doing after shows.
Awesome. That's going to be great. And over here on the Chatter After, guys, we're going to be talking The Last of Us every Tuesday. But we are so blessed, Joanne. James Gunn tweeted before this show ended. So lucky us. I don't know if you saw his Twitter account.
I did not.
We're going to pull this up. Do you have him blocked?
I let you guys film me. No, I just let you guys fill me in. I just avoid Twitter as a whole. It's okay.
That's valid. We're going to just go to James Gunn's Twitter. And he's responding to Home of the DCU, which is reporting that Wonder Woman will not appear in the first 3 years. James Gunn, please debunk this. James Gunn responds by saying, I hereby debunk it, only because it's not true. And then another person replies to that. Can you discuss at all the report from Variety that Ezra Miller, regarding Ezra Miller, / the notion that your slate is only 3 years worth of projects? I do not know what's out there about Ezra, but our slate is 8 to 10 years, but we will only be announcing some of it this month.
Okay. Well, there you go.
There we go.
But do you see why I'm saying he's going to have to continuously put fires out to the point to where at that point, it's just once you reveal what is happening, it starts to nullify these reports before they can even come out, right? Because once you start to reveal the slate, I think people will be a little bit more suspicious of these blatant reports that come out that aren't just James Gunn's mouth.
Right.
But the more you keep trying to put this out, the more people will feel emboldened to just say any fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's an unwinnable war.
I understand where you're coming from, but I want to spin it a different way, right? Mm-hmm. By debunking everything, maybe that'll make some people less likely to spread BS, right?
But have we seen that? Have we seen that since he's joined? Have we seen it go downward, or have we seen it trend upward? I think we've seen it trend upward.
Has it been upward, or has it been has it just been the same? Because remember, we would get DC rumors every week anyway. Now we just have somebody answering them.
But my point is, him answering it isn't putting out any potential fires. Right. It's only letting the next guy or girl know, hey, I can get massive attention by just saying anything. He's going to debunk it. It'll be through everywhere. It'll be on the chatter after, right? So, like, that's what I'm saying. You're just creating more monsters rather than just come out, say what your first 3 or 4 years are, or 10 or however many, and then it makes it difficult for people to try to create narratives because you've already established the narrative. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. God bless you, James Gunn. I couldn't do it. That's all I'm saying.
You know, as we wrap up here, I do want to just point out, he said 8 to 10 years, which is far greater than the 3. I do feel like the announcements that he's going to make this month, which he was just saying early 2023. He's finally come out and said this month. So we've got like 21 days, roughly. I assume we were within that time span. We're going to hear something from James Gunn, you know?
Yeah.
But I just speculation time. What do you think we see? And within the next, I assume he's going to announce the next 3 years. He's probably not going to announce all 8. That'd be insane because that's what got Warner Brothers in trouble last time. You know,
right.
What do you think the first 3 would be if you were James Gunn?
Has Batman been married to a woman? If he's debunking that Wonder Woman isn't part of this initial, slate, it has to be those 3. It should not be anyone else. It should be those 3. Start it there, and then you can build going from there. So to me, that's what it has to be. I know I'll be wrong, like I always am. That's what it should be, is what I'll say.
I don't think you can go wrong starting off with the big 3. You can throw Green Lantern in there too. It's James Gunn. You know we're probably gonna get something wacky in there, like Bat might eventually at some point.
Yeah, Space is coming very soon. It's very, very, very soon. You know it is. You know it is.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank goodness he wrapped all that up early. So we got that answered. We can sleep easy knowing that Wonder Woman is safe.
Right.
Joanne, thanks for joining me, man. It's been awesome.
Always.
Where can the folks find your work?
You guys can check us out, Geek Vibes Nation on Twitter, Geek Vibes Nation on Instagram, Geek Vibes Nation on YouTube, and also Geek Vibes Nation on Twitch. Check us out on all those platforms. Also TikTok. Yeah, check us out on TikTok too. We be talking and ticking. So check us out.
Talking and ticking. You guys are everywhere. It's so much fun talking with you guys. You guys, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give us a like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. So you can be here live as we talk about DC rumors, only for James Gunn to debunk them by the end of the show. It makes it fun. I honestly love it. It keeps you on your toes. But yeah. We just released our episode of The Shawshank Redemption on the Chatter After. The Amateur Otaku, they're going live talking Bleach, like right now, if you want to go over there and check out that conversation. Until next time, guys, keep watching movies, keep reading comics, stay awesome. Peace.